Monster Closet. We will be talking about something you all like. First-person shooters. We're talking when I was a teenager in high school.
Yep.
I had this PC computer, and I discovered this game. Somehow, a bunch of friends of mine pirated it to me. I said, "Oh shit, they're gonna get me." They gave me a copy of it. That's what we used to do back then. We used to just sort of...
Well, it was probably shareware anyway, though.
It originally was, but they had the full version.
Oh, okay.
And like, somehow they got the full version. There was no coding back. There was no copyright.
Right.
So it was a game called Wolfenstein 3D, which was actually a continuation of a Wolfenstein non-3D, which came out many years before. Most people don't know that, but we won't talk about that. The graphics were like nothing I've ever seen before, even though they were like so simplified, and all the walls were 8 feet thick. It was like a very standardized set of making levels. In fact, the level design was very easy. It was just like block, 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 block. And the graphics were basically 2D sprites. But the game, featuring all of this sort of Nazi occultism, I thought was amazing.
Totally.
The blood, the machine gun, it was such a simple game. Back then, like, we had seen nothing like. The sound was amazing.
Yeah.
Everything about the game.
I still quote the sound from that game. Stop!
Stop!
Who's not living?
We'll never forget those sounds we heard. Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, you actually have to collect treasure and get score. They still have those antiquated ideals of...
I love that sound. I still love that sound.
Of Pac-Man almost.
Yeah, it really was.
But hey, it was an evolving time. But yeah, so that would be my
your first one?
That was my first one, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I have this weird thing where like my first-person shooter was barely a first-person shooter at all since it was Doom. But not the Doom on PC. Doom on 32X, which is like the add-on for the Genesis, just to snap on top of it. Now, I didn't actually buy that 32X.
I still have it.
I found that 32X on the sidewalk outside of a Funko. That's neither here nor there. That's pretty awesome. I bought games for it, Doom being one of them. You couldn't fucking move the goddamn gun around.
Yeah.
You had to view it out of like a fucking 6-inch box with a brown border. But that's all I had until Computer a few years later, where my first-person shooter that I'll actually say in public normally, it's just now counts as public, so now I don't know my secret, but was Unreal Tournament.
Right.
That was my first major first-person shooter. Just super fast-paced. Yeah. It actually ran on my system. That was a plus.
Well, that's a great way to get you hooked in, because Unreal Tournament was a
very multiplayer, centered game.
Oh, well, I mean, it basically was all multiplayer. Yeah. I mean, it was Unreal Tournament. That's basically
it was trying to unseat Quake. That was the game.
Sure, but I mean, it's in the same realm. Totally. Awesome game, though, man. Yeah. I love it still today. I mean, mine personally is just, same as Steve, because I think we both played it together. I mean, you really introduced me to Wolfenstein.
Oh, yeah, that was
so
yeah. Before that, Brian was a heavy console guy, and I think I showed Brian the PC.
Yeah. I mean, they never, there were no first-person shooters on consoles at that point.
Stay at his house before we had to work at A&P in the afternoon. we played PC games.
And then after, sometimes.
Yeah.
It sucks. I completely missed out on the whole Wolfenstein boat because of how late it was. I actually got a PC, so my first Wolfenstein game wasn't until Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Which
was a very cool.
All right.
Awesome.
I thought you were about to say something bad about it.
No.
Punch was about.
Matter of fact, that was my.
Because I was so happy there was another one.
Oh yeah. Well, that was my favorite. That is my favorite multiplayer experience of all time.
Yeah, it had a very good, a very Team Fortress kind of multiplayer system.
Oh, totally. I mean, class-based
levels. It was class-based.
Right? So
it could be a sniper, it could be a medic.
100% teamwork.
Yes.
You could not be a lone wolf in that game and your team succeed.
Nope.
You could not.
I remember playing multiplayer. I actually had the guts of it, and I got my ass handed to me.
Dude, I still have memories of playing like the D-Day type of.
Yes, I'd be the Nazis up in the rapids, and there's some sniper on the beach go shoot me through a little hole in the wall. Yeah, I get shot. It was amazing.
So James, what about your favorite?
Favorite? That would probably be. I would just put it as the Halo series collectively. Like, it's hard to pick one out of like so many great games. I mean, as far as the story aspect, as far as just the general gameplay, I prefer Halo 4. Why you throw ODST in there?
You said shit game. It was impossible. You were just a regular guy.
Yeah, you were a grunt.
They couldn't do that.
Why did they
be a grunt?
But all right, so Halo is your franchise.
Yeah.
All right, what would you say are like the high points? I mean, is it gunplay? Is it like, what do you think?
Well, from which?
From any, I mean, just as Halo is a franchise. I mean, because you say that's your favorite series.
Well, I just said that. Like the actual, like the gameplay aspects of Halo 4, the gunplay, how everything looks, sounds, plays. but Halo Reach's story.
Okay, so Reach's story.
And Halo 4's everything else.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Funny, that's not even a Bungie game. Yeah. But, I mean, it's...
Well, yeah, that's not theirs.
No, it's not.
No, 343 completely destroyed Bungie on that. Halo 4.
I mean, listen, Halo 4 was fantastic.
I didn't like.
I
like Reach. I really like Reach.
Why didn't you like Halo 4 just as a quick side note?
I felt like it was more of a multiplayer game than a single player game.
Ooh, no way. I feel differently. I felt the single player game was fantastic.
I
played less multiplayer 4 than I did any other multiplayer game.
Really? I didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I don't know. I lost my interest quickly, whereas Reach did not lose my interest.
Well, that's fair. I mean, what about you, Steve? What about your
the game that really did it for me was Half-Life.
Ooh. So that's
classic. And then Half-Life 2, which was even...
both are fantastic.
Half-Life, it started like no game ever started. It starts in a cinema sort of fashion with the credits rolling, like a movie, and you're going through this environment, and you're kind of just sitting there witnessing it as an observer. Second mention, I would give it to Dark Forces.
Really?
Dark Voices, the original Dark Voices. Remember the original one?
Sure.
The one where you didn't have a lightsaber yet.
Right, no.
The original one. That was
very good.
That was Jedi,
That was good too.
There are some of the Star Wars stuff where they did first person was actually
as a second mention.
Honorable mention, definitely. I mean, those were some of the better Star Wars.
That game actually had puzzles.
Yeah, really cool.
Cool.
Moving forward in the genre, I mean, right now it's basically bogged down in like the Call of Duties, you know, and hopefully you're going to see Halo 5 in a sense make a big statement as in getting away from all that. I mean, what do you feel about going forward?
I don't know. Like, I prefer like narrative driven stories like in shooters, you know, like stuff like Halo Reach, stuff like Chronicles of Red, like first person games. Well, like I said, I just couldn't get into it. Like, I've tried actually playing them, and I just found them to be really dry and slow. I don't like the mute hero in first.
It's mute hero. That's right.
That's true. And
except for Reach, since the characters were everyone else you were with just about at all times.
Right. Yeah. I would say that just another note on Half-Life 2. Like, it definitely is a PC game. Like, I played it on Xbox 360, and it feels like a PC game in the sense where it's not. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not bad at all. It's just not as tight as like shooters that you expect on a console because of the way that with keyboard and mouse. Because it's like things feel a little loose. Maybe not as grounded. You don't feel weighty. Maybe it's due to the time. What do you think about like future wise? James is saying story driven mode should be the.
I like the fact that stories are getting more powerful first person game because the first person game started as very simple things like Wolfenstein where you're gathering treasure and shooting Nazis, and Doom kind of stepped it up a little, and then Quake stepped that up, and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's important that first person games keep progressing and not degressing. Some games are of course trying to degress the whole thing. They're trying to evolve.
But do you mean like those? Do you mean like progress story-wise or progress system-wise or what?
Well, they shouldn't progress story-wise where there's too much cinematics. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I
don't need cinematics that much in first-person shooters.
Yeah, sometimes a lot of the games are driven by that. But yeah, I like the fact that they're becoming more mature, and some are becoming a little less violent, a little more thinking-like.
Sure.
Because some are just trying to really press the violence,
Well, sure.
Look how violent this game is.
That is kind of what a first-person shooter is.
If you can get the game smarter, though. Sometimes some people just, kind of just took it to just an unintelligent level.
All right. Well, I see where you're getting at, and I'll
I'm getting old and I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way things are going. Steve bloody games.
Mr. Conservative all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, that's, to me, I see the future, the landscape of this, as where Bungie attempted to go with Destiny, and I don't feel like they succeeded. I feel like almost like a perpetual war is something that we'll see in the future, where Forza did with Drivatars.
What's a Drivatar?
Okay, where you have a character, and when you're not playing the game, your car still races against other people, but it's
time,
based on an algorithm based. No, not a ghost. Based on your tendencies and an algorithm based to tell how you would react in certain situations. Right, so I can see that as like being the future of first person, where it's like a perpetual war for like a planet, and like when you're not playing, your guy's still going to be out there.
There's something like Titanfall where you have like stuff going around you that is computer controlled,
right? But it's all based on somebody's actual.
I like the idea of playing a multiplayer game without actually having to deal with dickheads.
Well, that's never gonna happen.
That's just dealing with the real world.
Bro.
I'd like to drive here without dealing with
exactly.
I'd like to go get some coffee.
Some games actually did. They gave you a multiplayer environment with AI that was good.
Sure, bots. Yeah,
I think Unreal did that. I think
lots of games have bots.
There's Quake. I think Quake made a tournament.
Well, as a matter of fact. I mean, I feel that in that universe, like where if that game ever really comes out, where it is like a perpetual type game like that, where you drop in and out whenever you want, and you just kind of like have like a little like debrief on where your team is, what you're doing right now. You'll deal with less people on a regular basis. You'll deal with more people's avatars.
See that shit, developers? You can have that fucking idea for free.
Yeah, I am just gonna say to end this show. Can't even talk about first-person shooters without mentioning one of the staples, which we didn't bring up, even though it's totally honorable mention. Although I probably had more fun with this because it was a split-screen game. Was GoldenEye. For Nintendo 64.
That was extremely popular,
popular because it was fantastic. It was the first console first-person shooter to be successful.
Yeah.
It did it right. I'm not saying it was. If you go back, it doesn't. There's a lot of things wrong with it. It doesn't hold up. But that translated into Perfect Dark, which I felt was a better game than GoldenEye. But that has to be mentioned as evolution of first-person shooters.
Great.
So
first-person shooters.
You heard it here. There's a new idea for you guys.
This is what we like.
James says he can have it for free. I'd like a little royalty on that.
Send all royalties through.
You guys would never thank us anyway. You would never thank us anyway, because y'all pretend like you don't watch us, but you do.
You do.
We're your dirty little secret.
That's Monster Closet. First-person shooters.